Hi, friends. Welcome to the Modern Phoenix podcast. This is a new and improved podcast born from the ashes of the It's All Me podcast. I am Gervase Kolmos, inner transformation coach, modern woman, Phoenix, mama of three, human, paradox. Today's episode is going to share what this podcast is all about, how it will help to guide you to know and choose what you want in your life, and to let you know what you can expect in the future. I'm going to share why it's called the Modern Phoenix, who the Modern Phoenix is, and how I believe this archetype can help you become the version of yourself your soul is asking you to be, the version of yourself your body is asking you to free. Okay, so let's get into it. So this podcast is a complete education in knowing and choosing. Knowing your wants and your needs as guided by the wisdom of your mind, body, and soul, and choosing them despite the expectations, conditioning, and constraints in your lives. And there will always be these things. As we like to say in my world, life is gonna keep lifing. I was talking with a client today, and she said something about how she is really tuning into and connecting to the best version of herself, and how she feels like that version of her positively impacts all the people that she connects with in her life, but also how the best version of her is actually someone very different from who she was conditioned to believe that was. So let's dive into what it means to be a modern woman. For many of us who identify as women, there was always the bar set to become the best version of ourselves. However, this version of ourselves was not our authentic selves. This version of ourselves was the most accomplished, the most successful, the richest, the most beautiful, the most likable, the most popular, the one who pleased other people. You know, a lot of women really are here to untangle patterns of people pleasing, self-abandonment, and all of those ways of womaning were taught to us as the way to be the best version of ourselves. And what we have started to realize with all of the tools and access and information we have as modern women is that that best version of ourselves maybe felt more comfortable, palatable for those around us, but it wasn't actually serving our communities at the highest level we were able to, because it cost us so much to not be our true, full, light and dark, imperfect, ever-evolving selves. So to be a modern woman is to have unique challenges born from the conditioning of the generations before us and the culture that our mothers and their mothers and back and back and back were born into, that taught us, here's how you be the best version of yourself. Here's how you be a good woman. Except because we're modern, we have unprecedented opportunity to choose differently. We actually have the privilege and safety and access to make different choices than our mothers because of the modern age. Not only do we have more rights, more privilege, more safety, we also have more information. We have more data, we have more technology, we have more connection points to people all over the world, right? So that creates this awakening and also this opportunity to make different choices than the women who came before us, not from a frame of judgment as if we are better than them, but that we have unique opportunities that they did not have. To me, this is what it is to be a modern woman. And also to have this unprecedented challenge where the demands of modern life make it really hard and distracting and overwhelming to know what is the right way. What is my way? Who am I? What is the best version of me? There are so many reasons why we feel overwhelmed and inundated as modern women by demands. There have never been so many demands on women because we didn't know as much. But now we know all about how to be the best mothers, the healthiest humans, the most woke activists, the kindest partners, to have the sexiest relationships. We have so much information that it is actually flooding our systems, and it can be paralyzing to be a modern woman, to have so many choices, to have so much information because of technology, to have so much responsibility and so many demands because more women are in the workplace than ever before. And then if you're not in the workplace and you work in the home, then you feel more comparison about that than ever before because we've got social media. There's so many reasons culturally why no matter how you're womaning, what sphere of life you're in, whether you work or don't work, are single or partnered, why all of the tools and access and information and data and technology in the world has actually made it more confusing and overwhelming to know who you are, what you want, and to feel trusting and safe enough to choose that. A lot of women come into my world and they want to know why. Why do I do this? Why do I feel this way? Why do I think this way? And the why is actually really easy. We talk a lot on this podcast and in my coaching containers about our conditioning as women. All the reasons why we have internalized capitalism, internalized patriarchy, how feminism has affected us, all of the systems that we are a part of, the roles that they play on our nervous system, on the mind, on our patterns, on our belief systems. This is a huge piece of what it means to be modern and a huge piece of the work that I do. It's no wonder that we're having a hard time knowing and choosing when the conditioning is at an all-time high and we're trying so hard to operate in the modern world to be a fully functioning, contributing member of society while also working within the constraints of capitalism, patriarchy, white supremacy, religion, and so many other systems. I am not here to make anything about you or about the world, bad or wrong. I am just here to help you see the unseen and understand the things in our lives as modern women that make perfect sense, that make it more challenging for us to, quote unquote, be the best version of ourselves, to know who we are and choose what we want. This podcast is to help you sort through it all, to name the unseen obstacles that have been in your path, to get in tune with your intuition and your inner wisdom, and create your life from sustained self-trust, embodied wisdom, and delicious pleasure. I weave together various modalities that work with the mind, the body, and the soul. I'm certified in focalizing, which is a trauma-informed somatic modality for nervous system regulation. I also weave in hypnotherapy, which works with subconscious beliefs and reprogramming the mind. And of course, a certification in coaching. I blend all of these modalities together with my lived experience as a modern woman to help you harness your superpower of knowing who you are, what you want, and choosing that from an embodied and trusting place. So let's talk about now what it means to be a phoenix. I have been working with the archetype of the phoenix for a couple years now. And to me, the phoenix embodies everything that it means to do the work without getting stuck in our past, in the mind's logic or stories, in our trauma, while also incorporating all of our lived experience, everything we've been through, all of our initiations and suffering and pain, and transmuting it and alchemizing it into something beautiful. And when I say beautiful, I don't mean we bypass all the hard stuff to get you all shiny and happy. To be a phoenix is to feel deeply comfortable and at peace and trusting of our light and our dark, of our waves of joy and happiness, and also the storms when they come, the emotions, the sadness, the grief, the anger. The phoenix can take all of these human experiences and evolve them into a newer, truer version of her as often as necessary. A phoenix is always evolving, always recreating herself as needed, not because it's the right thing to do or you should do it or it's bright and shiny, but because that is what it is to be a human. The phoenix honors the cycles of death and rebirth that I talk about a lot in my work, letting old, outdated parts of us die so that we can be reborn and become the next version of ourselves is critical to growth. If you look at nature as the guide, the seasons of the earth, there always has to be seasons of summer, fall, winter, and spring. The atrophied or dead parts of a plant must fall away, be composted into the earth so that when the spring comes, the new blooms can grow. And humans are nature, and I talk about that a lot as well. And the phoenix reminds us of this constant evolution, of these endless cycles of death and rebirth, and that it's not only normal, but it's healthy. It's actually much healthier than staying stuck in old patterns, in staying stuck in a traumatized nervous system, in staying stuck in an identity that we've outgrown. The phoenix can have acceptance and compassion for who we've been and what we've been through, while also taking that and transforming it into something that is more powerful. After every initiation of life, you will have this phoenix death rebirth cycle where you rise out of the ashes and you just feel like, whew, I am so much more powerful than I even knew. I learned things about myself I didn't even know I had. So how do we align more deeply with the phoenix archetype? We understand that it is mind, body, soul. No part of us doesn't get to be here. As a client said today, I'm going to okay that part. I'm going to make it okay for that part to exist and to ideally get all of our parts working together, and all of, our mind, our spirit, our body, all of this gets to be included in our identity and the way that we move through the world as women. A phoenix is also bravely choosing. You don't rise from the ashes more powerful and resilient than before unless you are leaning into that fire. You are practicing being with the discomfort of the fire because you trust and know how and have the tools and the awareness and the modalities to know that you are going to come out the other side. And so this gives us lived experience, evidence, past case studies to pull from when we can choose over and over and over to rise. And sometimes the first time that we're rising from the ashes, we're going to need a little bit of support. We're going to need to know that this has actually been done millions of times, that there are women all around who are embodying this phoenix archetype, who are doing the brave thing and going through initiations of life and allowing old versions of themselves to die so they can rebirth. And so that choosing is often very uncomfortable. It's often the first time that we have given ourselves permission or space to process, reinvent ourselves, change our minds, change the path, heal our trauma. So the choice is big. And when you look at the phoenix, you just know that, of course, there's going to be some fear to be in the dark, to burn away parts of yourself, to be in the ashes. And also there is courage and power in the choosing to rise, in the trusting that you will always rise. There's also something about the phoenix that I find to be very feminine. A lot of the work that I do with modern women is reconnecting them to their feminine nature. So much of modern life requires women to literally move through the insane pace of modern life acting as men. And this is supportive in a lot of ways. The masculine doing and organization and management and control is so helpful. And also the phoenix reminds us to let it be a little bit fiery and messy and feminine. That there is also so much power and that get shit done energy in the rising. Fire doesn't have a specific shape. Smoke doesn't have a specific shape. It is so feminine and flowy while also deeply powerful. And to me, that is something that is so inspiring and aspirational for a lot of modern women because we have lost touch with our feminine nature. And again, why? Hello, look around at what is required of us as women today. The why is not hard to figure out, and it's never our fault, right? It's the systems. It's the culture. It's the demands. It's the evolution of the culture as a whole. And we get to be the first to look around and say like, something inside, actually, this doesn't feel like the best version of me. This doesn't feel sustaining. This doesn't feel life-giving. This doesn't feel safe. My body doesn't feel safe. There has to be a different way. And there is. There's the Phoenix way. And that's what you are going to learn in this community, from this podcast, in my world, that you are all of it, light and dark, ash and fire, feminine and masculine, mind and body and soul, and how to dance in this new world where your intuition and your body wisdom and your soul add value and conviction and courage to the complex choices and decisions and relationships that you're navigating every single day, to the initiations, to life's curveballs. What if we could meet those things from a place of sustained self-trust that we got this no matter what? Even if this thing burns me into ash, that's okay. I have everything I need inside of me to rise from those ashes, like the phoenix that I was born to be. And I just want to say that this has been my own journey. I am not teaching you as a guru from this pedestal. I am in the fire with you. I have been through my own Phoenix iterations more times than I can count. And it is why I am so passionate about walking women through the fire. It is why I am so passionate about connecting women to this archetype within themselves that knows and chooses what is truly, truly best for her mind, body, and soul, that gives her full permission to be the version of her she came here to be and not the version of her she's been conditioned to be, and who everybody else wants her to be, or who she thinks everybody else wants her to be, or who, dominant culture wants her to be. This podcast used to be called, like I mentioned, It's All Me, because so much of my journey was about claiming my sovereignty over my life, feeling empowered that I had everything I needed inside of me to make the choices necessary, to harness the tools I knew about, to use self-awareness and compassion to live life with this it's all me mindset. And as I have grown and evolved, I suddenly started to get that knowing, my own knowing of like, this could be so much more powerful if we burned this away and pivoted it a little bit, shifted it a little bit. I've been through some of the hardest times in my entire life over the last year, which I've talked about a lot on this podcast. And what it reminded me of over and over was what it is to be a modern phoenix, how much more empowered I feel in my life as part of the world and families of origin and my own family and relationships and school districts and states and race and everything. How much more empowered I feel when I do this through the lens of I'm a phoenix. I'm always evolving. Even my sense of my idea of what it means to feel powerful, what it means to feel happy, what it means to feel balanced or calm, it gets to change as often as the tides, as often as the seasons. And so I just started to have that feeling of like, oh, I'm going to rebrand the podcast again. Ooh, am I brave enough to do it? Is it going to be okay? Are people going to accept that? Do I get to evolve more than once on my own podcast? Can you even believe the audacity? Thank you, life, for showing me to go first so that I can show the women in my community, of course, you can do whatever the fuck you want. So now we've formally put a name to it. And I'm creating a home for my fellow phoenixes, for my cycle breakers, for my soulful yearners, for my curious women who are just so curious about life and the universe and our souls, these infinite souls in these little bodies. This home is also for my fellow high-performing, high-achieving women who are kind of wondering like why they aren't quite so satisfied, fulfilled, like something's missing. This is a home for stay-at-home moms who feel like they have to be pitted against working moms and maybe like they're out of touch with who they are and what they want. This is a home for badass professionals who have maybe stifled their creative ideas or their feminine emotions out of a fear of rejection or failure in the workplace or how they might be perceived. If you feel a resonance with the modern phoenix, then you belong here, because there is no one type of woman who gets to be a modern phoenix. It's about the core of who you are and what you believe to be true and possible for yourself. It's not about the roles you play and the titles you try on. and your job status and how much money you make. You get to tune into your own felt sense in your body to decide if the Modern Phoenix podcast is your home and community. And if it is, I would be so honored to guide you and join you here twice a month for deep and twisty conversations and also solo episodes that set fire to the beliefs, conditionings, limitations that do not serve you, that are asking you to burn them away so that you can reborn into something more powerful, more you, more authentically you today, not you 6 months ago, or you 6 years ago, or you when you were 14 years old, but the you are today. And I'm going to be giving you tools, mindsets, resources, and frameworks to attune to your own inner knowing, your suppressed power, and your ability to create your life for the unique woman you are and not who you think you should be. On this podcast, you're going to learn how to untangle who you truly are from who they told you to be and who you felt you needed to be. And you're going to experience the distinct pleasure of having full permission to evolve as many times as is necessary. I am so excited for you to join us. Thank you for being here. Let's go.